and use detangle nodes to avoid intersecting sugar line, right? So this is pretty simple, but as artists, you have to do this. You cannot leave the intersecting geometry to a client. You cannot do that, right? So after that, we have a polywire nodes. So polywire nodes are over here, as you can see here. So I have avoid all the intersecting geometry, right? So there's no intersecting on the geometry. And put on subdivide, give a little bit smooth. So transfer down a little bit and merge that. So after this node, you will see we have a pretty nice sugar sitting on top of the geometry. So, and also you can see there is a slight amount of detail. So you can see here from the highlight, right? So because the sugar has a weight, and this weight will make the sugar sink on the layer of the chocolate. So we are artists. We have to do those kind of detail. Pretty simple. Create your let's create your sugar into the VDBs, right? And after that, use the VDB reshape node to get slightly bigger. And go back to our chocolate layer and do VDB combine. So this way, we will have this kind of inward surface. So you got a surface going inward. That we can simulate the weight of the sugar sitting on top of a chocolate, right? So after that, we can apply the VDB smooth, right? And after that, you can just convert that into VDBs, convert that into your mesh. So after this step, you will see we have a tremendous amount of detail on the surface. That's the beauty of why we use Houdini. So you have to do that. And then just smooth out, just give a color and merge that, and merge everything together. You get this. And then remember what I mentioned in the beginning of the tutorial. So my setup, you can actually push your camera super close. So that's the advantage this tutorial will give to you, because your client will ask you to put your camera super close to the surface. So that's usually the requirement from your client. So you have to do that. You have to make sure your setup is available to do that, right? So, okay. So after that, we have to apply the sugar layer, right? The sugar layer, the layer of the sugars. And so this comes to something, I don't want to say complex, but if you use the Houdini flip system before, and in Houdini 18.5, you will find out Houdini flip system is even more better in Houdini 18.5 because the side effect always improves. We have to take advantage of those improvements. And as you can see from my finished work, the sugar on top of surface is fully procedural and fully random. You can change the shape of your sugar layers anytime, any kind of shape you want. Your client asks you 1,000 donuts, no problem. You can do 1,000 donuts in just few hours, and just by yourself. Why? Because it's a procedure. And as you can see here, there's no geometry intersecting with each other. Everything just on top of another layer, which is already existing in our Houdini scene, right? So you see here, right? There's no intersecting, because in the Houdini world, and in the world we are serving with for our client, we cannot leave this kind of defect, right, to our client, because next time they don't come back to you. And I can tell you here, my setup is not only fully procedural, but also we can simulate dynamically. It's in a motion. I know many people mention it's a motion design, right? Motion design. Why is motion design? Because it can move. And as you can see here, the sugar layer on top of a chocolate layer, this guy has a fluid nature to it. So that's the detail you will make your client come back again. So if you follow my tutorial, I'm sure you will get the same result. But unfortunately, if you follow this guy's tutorial, if you follow his tutorial, and his tutorial is a non-procedure. If you want to change the shape, it's going to be a headache. It's going to take you day and night to change to different shape. And for geometry intersecting issue, you have to take a very long time to fix that issue. And you might not get a very good result. This is why in his tutorial, he always put the camera like this distance. Because once he zoom in his camera, you will find out there is intersecting. I know this guy. I know this guy. So that's why I have to make a tutorial to point out he's wrong. Don't follow it, right? Okay, I know everybody wants to receive good credit, but this guy, no. No good credit to this guy. No, 100% no. No chance. Because what he's telling is wrong. Half a meter Donna, you want to do that? Nobody want to do that, right? So okay, so let me go over what I have done. So this is the procedure. See, this is where I create the sugar layer. So first of all, I create a grid and a scatter point. Once I scatter point, if you use this scatter node, you know this node is fully procedure. So you can change the shape anytime you want, any kind of shape you want. And every time you change this value, the position of the point is going to be changed, right? And you go to the resample. So as you can see here, the shape change. So you're going to make 1,000 of different donuts in just 1 hour. Super quick if you have a farm to support you. So after that, I pipe that into the path. This is the path our fluid emitter will follow. So let me go to this setup. So over here we have a path, right? And over here, select this sphere because I made a very small sphere. Because remember, when the guy at the shop to make the donut, the bottle he used, the nozzle is pretty small, right? Everybody use that. So the ketchup bottle. So everybody has it in your fridge. The nozzle is very small. So in Houdini, the why I had mentioned this tutorial at the beginning of my tutorial is, if you have a real skill. For example, in my tutorial, so you can see here, my donut, how big is my donut, right? It's correct scale, almost 10 centimeters, right? 10 centimeter scale. So if you do that, and it's automatically enable you to fit with flip simulation, because the ketchup bottle, the nozzle is pretty small. So over here, I'm making the size of the ketchup, of the nozzle of the whatever you call it, it's the chocolate or ketchup, and give the velocity point downward, right? Velocity point downward, and use that as our flip simulation source. Pretty simple. Select that. Go to the Houdini flip. Where is the flip? And control left mouse click. Once you mid mouse click, you will have your flip simulation already. So don't worry about that. I will show you the setup. Okay, so this is my flip simulation. Houdini will create the flip simulation automatic for you. So just go inside, right? This is the setting I'm using, so you can follow my setting. Give a very small particle separation. So in this version of Houdini, I find out even on the Windows, the performance gets increased. It's awesome, very good, and very efficient in the memory. So this is the path point to my Houdini flip emitter. So if you go to the first frame, you will see this is my flip, right? So and this guy will follow the path I have set. right? Right? You see that? So, and how did I set up the path? So this is, if you use the path tool, it will create a constraint network for you. So just go inside over here, pretty simple. And over here, you can control the position, which time you want, where you want your emitter to locate. So the timing. And in your DOP simulation, it will follow it. So as you can see here, right? So it's automatically followed. So, and on the flip solver side, so pretty simple. On the flip solver side, so I didn't change anything. The only thing I have changed is to turn off the resample particles or reseeding particles, because this is a very small application. You don't want your particle count starting to flickering, right? So I turn off, and for the volume motions over the enable viscosity, just turn on the viscosity, set the first viscosity scale to 4. Easy, right? And over here, you have your initial data, and over here, add viscosity attribute. That's it. Pretty simple. And turn your substep to 6. So Houdini will automatically calculate the substep for you and create very interesting shape. And it's fully procedure and easy to use. You don't have to worry about those intersecting issue, right? So if you go over here, just simply selecting your merge nodes and go to your first frame and go to the collision and control left mouse click your static object. So this will create the Houdini collision geometry for you. And the only thing you have to change is go inside your voxel scale and put the very high value here. Because this guy is not moving, we can give very high scale, right? Very high value here. And this will give you very detailed VDB representation on the surface, and for you to enable you to do very detailed flip simulation. All right. So after that, after you finish your simulation, everything is finished. So just go to the your Floop import here, and just basically save out your particles. So that's pretty straightforward, right? Once you save out your the particles and do unpack, and you can use the particle fluid surface node to get your surface, as you can see here, right? Pretty simple, pretty easy. So this is a fully procedural and dynamic simulation ready. So if you have a client ask you to get this kind of a motion into it, you are able to do it. So if you follow my setup, and whereas if you follow his setup, you're gonna get into a situation where you cannot apply any dynamic simulation onto it, because this setup is not dynamic ready. Because this guy has no experience in a DOP. That's why he posted the tutorial without using any dynamic simulation. So we are working for the motion design industry, right? The motion design, why we call it motion design, that because every single element in our setup, we can make it move. That's the reason why